Welcome to the Dirt Broadcast. Dig into the bottom of every situation to get to the truth. Here's your host, Jason Mills.
Hello, folks. It's good to see you this evening. Make sure everything's working here. Give everybody just... Oh, we got 2 viewers already, so we're doing good, I guess. Yep, showing me live. I like it. Welcome to the Dirt Podcast. We'll give everybody just a couple minutes to join us here. Hope everybody's doing well. I know the flu's got a lot of you under the weather, so we'll be praying for you and all your kiddios and all that good stuff. Hopefully, with the schools being closed for the rest of the week, hopefully some of the flu dies down and we can get through flu season and all that good stuff. Weather's been beautiful. Lovely day today. If you got out, I hope you enjoy the sunshine and all those kinds of good things. From what I'm hearing, bad weather's coming next week, though. So enjoy the weather while you can. Can't wait for springtime to come around because wintertime is my least favorite season. Don't like to be cold. I'd rather be hot and pouring sweat than I would be to be freezing. That's just me. Some people like the winter. I do not. Don't like to drive in the snow. Don't like to be out in the snow. I just don't like to be cold. So that's my opinion. Anyways, folks, we'll give everybody just another minute. Hope everybody is enjoying the podcast as I am, getting back in the swing of things, getting back to, in the habit and getting back into learning how to use this streaming program and getting back in the habit of trying to think of topics to talk about that I think everybody wants to know about, or at least some people want to know about. Some people just don't care about what's going on in the county as far as politics goes, government goes, taxes goes, all those kinds of things. They just live their life and pay the taxes and just go on. But I've seen a lot of posts about different things lately. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Anywho, welcome to the Dirt Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Mills. Good to have you. We appreciate you joining in. Here we go. We're starting to get some more people on here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. And again, like I said, I hope you have been enjoying all this lovely weather. It's going to turn bad next week, I'm hearing. But again, I've liked it. I don't like wintertime. I don't like to be cold. So hope you've been out there and enjoyed that sunshine. With that being said, again, welcome to the Dirt Podcast. I am your host, Jason Mills. Remember to like, share, and follow, and comment, and do all those kinds of things as we go through the evening and talk about whatever you want. Last Tuesday, we got a lot of comments, so we greatly appreciate it. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughing, and all those kinds of things. So we appreciate it, and thanks for making my first podcast back in nearly a year very enjoyable, and I greatly appreciate that. With that being said, remember to like us on Facebook. You can watch the podcast on Facebook or YouTube under the Dirt Podcast, or you can watch us on Rumble if you rather use Rumble. Rumble is the Dirt Podcast UC. So you can follow us on any one of those, and we'll be on those, and we might add some more later. But at this point in time, I am just on those 3. Yep. And so again, welcome to the Dirt Podcast, and I hope everybody is doing well. Again, I hope if you're down under the weather with the flu, we'll be praying for you. I know there's a lot of people out there that are sick and all that kind of stuff. So I know school's closed for the rest of the week. So hopefully we can get some of that flu died down and get people better. And hopefully we'll get through flu season here real soon and won't have to worry about it anymore. My mom, every year she was like, "You gonna go get your flu shot?" And then COVID happened. "You gonna get your COVID shot?" Nope, I'm not. And that was just one of the things that we had a conversation about every year. And now that she's gone and watching over me from heaven, Mother, I still didn't get my flu shot. But we miss her. We miss that conversation we've had every year. And but I like I said last time, I miss my mother dearly. And this podcast is dedicated in her memory, like every podcast will be. And I love my mama, and you only get one. So if you still have yours, cherish them and love them and hug their necks as much as possible, because you never know what's going to happen. Because I sure didn't expect to lose mine, especially the way that I did. Anyways, so one of the first things I want to talk about, if you haven't seen it yet, hopefully you have, but hopefully you've already signed up for it. But there is a new way, and Russell, her office has started up a new thing for you to be alerted. It's fraud alert. So if you register, go online, and it's very simple. I already did it. It just basically asks for your email and your name, and that's pretty much it. And then you're signed up. And so if anybody goes and tries to register any documents under your name, property title, anything like that, then you will get alerted. You'll get an email saying, "Hey, just this document's been registered under your name," just to kind of let you know if something is not too kosher, and hopefully that doesn't happen to anybody. But the way to get to that, you can go to look up unioncountytn.gov and go to the Register of Deeds section of that website and just scroll down. And like I said, I did it earlier. Took me 30 seconds, but just scroll down and click on the section that says fraud alert, and then get yourself signed up. Again, you can go to unioncountytn.gov and go to the Register of Deeds section and just scroll down. It's kind of middle page towards the bottom, and it just says fraud alert. Just click on that, and again, it asks your email and your name, and then you get an email back saying, "Hey, you've been registered," and all this kind of stuff. So just a good thing to look out for yourself. It's free. There's no charge, anything like that. So I thank Register of Deeds office for doing that for us. It's greatly appreciated. There's a lot of fraud and different things that go on every day, and hopefully none of you ever have to experience something like that, especially having your identity stolen or something like that. That is a pain to go through. You've got to go through so much police reports, and if they get credit cards in your name and loans in your name, and sometimes they can even take over your mortgage without you knowing, and then all of a sudden they own your house. And I know of at least one person that's happened to, and they had to go through great big old mess to get that sorted out. So, and even your taxes. I know it's tax season. They register and do your taxes for you, and they get your refund. So just be careful out there, and any way to protect yourself, like this fraud alert at the Register of Deeds office, is a good idea if you ask me. All right, so I got a few topics today. I know last week we talked about the county commission meeting. Tonight, just kind of random things that just hit me, and I want to just touch on a little bit. And like I said, feel free to like, share, and comment, and do all those things. This podcast is interactive, so you can message, and we can go back and forth all you want, or maybe we'll do a call-in section a little later. Maybe somebody wants to call in. That'd be fine too. I did ask somebody to join me tonight, but they had to be in some training tonight, so we're going to have to schedule that for a later date. But so we're going to have some guests here in the coming weeks and that kind of thing. And then as we get into election season for 2026, we will start interviewing some candidates and all that kind of good stuff, like we always have, with a little less spin, I guess. But anyways, so one of the things I want to talk about tonight is the committees and the boards. And, you know, we have a committee or a board for just about everything. We have a jail committee. We have, you know, we have the beer board. We have all these different boards. We have them for every ethics committee, just lots of committees, right? And that's fine. The problem with, in my opinion, the problem with a lot of those committees are they're stacked. And what I mean by that is a lot of them are stacked with people on those committees that will vote the way the mayor wants them to vote, or in play for certain things to happen certain ways. And if you notice, a lot of those committees, maybe later on down the road, we'll go through the committees. We've done that once before, and tell who's on all the committees. But we won't do that tonight. But so I know there's some county commissioners that aren't really on any committees. There's maybe they might be on one, but there's some county commissioners, for instance, that are on multiple committees. And that kind of puzzles me. But again, those are set up and done for a reason that way, just so they can be swayed one way or another. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about as far as committees go are how some of the mayor appoints all these committees, right? So he gets to say who's on these committees and who's not. And like 911 board, for instance, that is a separate entity, but the mayor got to kind of choose who he wanted on those boards. And I think one of those on there, my opinion, and I've spoken to some other folks about this, but my opinion for one particular member of that board is just put on that board just so they can cause trouble. And if you watch the 911 board meetings, every single meeting nearly, this one person is always the one that's the disruptor. He's always the one that wants to buck the system, and not necessarily in a good way, and that kind of thing. But again, that's my opinion. And but so anyways, so speaking of the 911 board, when everything was going on with 911 board, and we all were kind of wanting a shakeup to the 911 board, and we were having problems with Billy, and we were having problems with Andrew, and all this stuff. Well, I was approached by a few county commissioners, and asked if I would entertain the thought about being appointed to the 911 board because of some of my experience as far as law enforcement and all those other kind of things. And they were asking that if they pushed and they nominated me, would I be interested? And I said yes, I would be. And oddly enough, I'm not even going to say which commissioners were pushing for me to be. So when the shakeup started happening, when the mayor decided that he was going to appoint some new members to that board because some had resigned and all those other kind of things, I reached out to Mayor Bailey and I offered again my services to be on that board. And I mentioned that these other county commissioners approached me and wanted me to be on this board as well. And there was two of them to be exact, but I won't say what names they are. But so anyways, so I emailed, I called, I tried to talk to Bailey about being put on this board, but guess what? I got ignored. So obviously I'm not on the 911 board, and I didn't do it or didn't offer to do it for any reason for myself at all. But I did it because I was trying to be a new person, a new face with new thoughts and ideas that might be able to help in a situation that seemed kind of dire at the moment because we had so many problems with the 911 board. 911 board is doing a pretty good job, trying to come up with the bylaws that they should have had already. And all these problems that the 911 board had, and I'm not talking about the 911 supervisors or none of that. I'm just talking specifically about the board. But so I offered my services then. I got ignored. Again, through the grapevine, I've heard about I was overlooked for reasons, mostly because of my political views and my podcast. And there's some other things that have happened that I've also been not able to do because of my podcast and my political views, which is fine. That's part of it. That's the way things go. But anyways, so if you remember November, Mayor Bailey was talking about he created a new board that was going to start handling the payroll and all that kind of stuff, and as far as raises go and all that other. And during that meeting, he also announced that he was looking for 2 more members of that board, and he wanted those 2 members to be members of the public, not necessarily county commissioners or anybody else. He wanted 2 fresh faces, 2 members of that board to join that board just from the community. But he had no volunteers yet. So if anybody wants to volunteer, he was more than happy to get your name. And so they took a break later in that meeting. And what did I do? I walked right up there. And again, you probably can watch the meeting and see me walk up there. But I walked right up there and I said, Mayor Bailey, you want members for this board, volunteers? I volunteered for the 911 board, never heard back from you. So I'll go ahead and volunteer for this board and our committee. And he said, all right, thanks. And, I'll let you know and blah, blah, blah. And I've not heard anything back from him since that day. So I guess I'm not welcome for that position either. And again, it's all his choice. He's more than welcome to do what he feels is right, and all that kind of thing. I understand that I'm a kind of different person, and I'm not one to be controlled, and I'm not one to be told what to do and that kind of thing. So maybe my opinion, maybe I'm not necessarily the first choice for a lot of folks because I'm not a good old boy. I'm not a part of the good old boy system. I don't play favorites. I do what I think is right, and I do what I think is not only right for myself, but what is right for the people of Union County. And I think that's kind of what's missing on a lot of these boards and kinds of things like that. But that's a horse of a different color. So, anyways, so that's my rant about that. Like I said, he didn't have to put me on there, but don't ask for volunteers. And then I volunteer, and you don't even really consider it. So there's that. Other thing that I want to rant on tonight is, well, before we get into that, I've seen lots of posts lately on Facebook and that kind of thing talking about a lot of different things, whether it's things that are going on in Union County, whether it's schools being shut down, whether it's been constable stuff, whether it's been just lots of different things. Property tax is one of the biggest things that I've been seeing people complain about, either the property tax or the will tax. I've seen a lot of posts about those. And so my comment back to a lot of people, which everybody knows I don't normally comment on anything on Facebook because that's not what I do. I do the podcast, and that's where I rant and rave at. But anyway, so I've seen a lot of posts about the will tax and when did it go up, and why is it so much, and all these kinds of things, right? And so I just want to go through and highlight just a little bit that how that happened. We tried to fight the will tax being raised. We tried to fight the property tax being raised. Those who have been following me for a long time understand that I do not believe in tax increases at all. If they're needed, they're needed, but exhaust every other effort. Stop spending so much money. Stop wasting so much money. Stop doing all these things before you have to raise any kind of tax. This country was founded on the fact that we were tired of paying taxes. The Boston Tea Party, all about taxes. They was tired of the English charging so much taxes on the tea. So all that, but that's all history. So anyways, so the will tax came part, we had the $30 will tax originally to pay for Paulette Elementary School to be built and all that kind of stuff. And so then the new middle school came about, and we had to figure out, and when I say we, I mean government, had to figure out how we were going to pay for it. And so they, raised their property tax a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. And so they had to come up with a will tax raise. And so they raised the will tax even more. And so now you're paying, when you go to register your vehicle with all the fees and everything, you're paying about $83, $86. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's a little over $80 and for a sticker. But so that's to pay for the new middle school and Paulette, because Paulette's not paid for. If you remember last podcast, Paulette Elementary School won't be finished paid off until September of 2026. So here's the kicker of that, though. Once Paulette is paid off in September of 2026, that will tax isn't going away. It's not going to just sunset, is what they call it. It's not going to sunset. They're going to keep it. And they're going to keep it because we've got to continue to pay for the new middle school. We have to continue to pay all this money off the backs of the hardworking people of Union County instead of trying to cut money in other ways. And that's a whole conversation. That's a whole podcast or more in itself with that discussion. But so then we can go through and you dig in a little bit deeper, and then you find out well, we're going to have to pay for this new jail that they're talking about. And where's that money going to come from? And some of the county commissioners are trying to lay it out that they're going to get the state to pay for it. Guess what? The state will not pay for it. It's not going to happen. And so they're going to come after us, Union County citizens, with another tax, another raise, in order for us to pay for the jail. I'm not arguing the fact that we need a jail, we don't need a jail. Not arguing that fact at all. I'm arguing the fact that it's coming. It's going to be another tax increase to pay for that. And a lot of people say, well, we've got to pay for it. We've got to be able to do that. I understand that part. But again, go through the process of trying to save money and stop spending money. Stop trying to do all these things, especially all at the same time, when you don't have the money for it. Try not to overload yourself. Don't overload the citizens of Union County down with so many taxes. President Trump, he's trying to do away with a lot of taxes because it's been so hard for citizens lately. Look at the price of your groceries. Look at the price of all these things that you need to live. Medical care, your medicines, all these things. A lot of people can't afford. So, when we were arguing about the property tax, we were arguing the fact there's a lot of people out there that are choosing to buy groceries or buy their medicine. So why are we raising taxes on folks? Again, those taxes got raised anyway. And as far as the wheel tax goes, we try to fight the wheel tax. We had the petitions and all this other stuff, and it just fell on deaf ears. So here's my request to county commission. If you decide that we need a wheel tax increase or a property tax increase or whatever kind of increase to build the jail, for instance, how about giving the people of Union County a chance to have a voice in that decision? And how about we put it on a ballot? How about we give it a chance to be put on a referendum so that we can at least have a fighting chance, instead of just saying, hey, we're just going to do this on our own, and then we'll just do what we want, and we'll do it under the disguise of, well, we were elected by the people to make the decisions for them. I do not agree with that. Again, I think a lot of times that Union County government needs to understand that they work for us. We don't bow down to them. And so that's one of the biggest things that I think are one of the biggest hurdles that we have, as far as county commission not listening to the voices of the people. And we fought that, or I fought that ever since I got involved with all this stuff. That's the biggest thing that I've asked for, is let the people's voices be heard. And a lot of that is because folks don't show up anymore to the meetings, right? And so when they don't show up, they don't think, nobody really cares, so we'll just do what we want. Instead of looking at it like that, like I said, give the people a chance. If they show up to vote or not, that's their choice. But give the people what we need to do, instead of you just taking it on yourself and saying, I'm just going to do what we want to do anyway. So that's one of the biggest things that I have, as far as when they raised wheel tax. Tried, and I think my internet keeps going in and out, so I apologize for that. I got a wired connection, so I don't know why, but that's our AT&T, and hopefully hopefully we get that new internet here in the Big Ridge area soon. Can't wait to hear back. Hopefully next month or this month county commission meeting with the folks that are going to be doing that internet out here, because we greatly need it out here because my internet sucks. So anyways, so that's my rant on the tax situation. But again, going back to all these posts, my sound's going off. That's because my internet's going in and out. I'm sorry. Hopefully it'll quit doing that. But good evening, Miss Beeler. Let's see. Oh, post. So the post coming out now about the will tax and the property tax just goes to show that people don't really pay attention to what's going on. So now they're wondering, oh, why is this being raised? When did it happen? Just pay attention, folks. That's why it's important to get out there and pay attention to your county commission meetings. That's why it's important to go to the city council meetings, the school board meetings, all these meetings. And we were talking about the committees and the boards. It's so important that people start getting involved and going to these meetings, because if you don't, they're just going to continue to keep doing what they want instead of what we want, which is what they should be doing. So, yeah, say about that. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm checking my connections because I keep fading in and out. Anyway, so podcast, like I said, sometimes it's going to be about politics, and sometimes it's just going to be about other stuff. And tonight's one of them other things that a lot of it's just going to be other stuff. So one of my pet peeves is wishy-washy people. I can't stand wishy-washy people. And so with that being said, there's like some of the things that go on. You talk about what's going on in Union County, because I try to keep it Union County. You get people that like to get on a bandwagon and they want to bash, let's say, the mayor, or let's say they bash the sheriff. And then all of a sudden something happens and somebody that maybe didn't care for said person, and I know opinions change and that kind of thing. No, I've got a certain somebody in mind when I'm talking about a lot of this stuff, but something happens and maybe it benefits them all of a sudden, and so now we've got to start kissing hind end. And I'm not that person. I don't do that. So if, like I said many times in my podcast, I live my life on a simple foundation, and that is, if you're right, I'll fight with you. And now let's but then a school choice for another one. People don't like the school debate. Some people do. I get that. When I fought for school choice, and you can call me wishy-washy if you want to, but when I fought for school choice, it was a completely different law than it is now. So I've not this new school choice law a lot, because my opinion is what it is. The last year, the school choice law was different in many ways, and so but I find it funny that some people out there fought and fought and fought for the school choice law, right? And even this new one fought and fought and fought the school choice law, for it to pass. And then all of a sudden, another person that does podcasts and different kinds of things came out with the opinion that they didn't like the school choice law and that they were going to fight against it. And boom, just like that, said person that's in my mind, all of a sudden didn't like school choice law anymore. And I was like, but just 3 hours ago, you was posting how good this was. And here we are 3 hours later, and all of a sudden you're posting about how bad it is. And so it's just one of those kinds of things that irk my nerves, right? And I don't understand why we have people that do that, because it's so blatantly obvious what they're doing, right? It's so blatantly obvious that they're just trying to butter their bread on both sides, right? They're trying to play both sides of the fence and whatever's going to benefit them the most, right? And so then we get to another one, for instance, it's constables. There'll be all four constables until somebody makes a comment or somebody else makes a post, and then boom, they're against constables. And that kind of thing. But it's one of those things that as far as constables go, it makes certain people look better in certain ways if they do this or if they say this. And as long as that continues to progress their agenda, then they'll stay on that bandwagon. But as soon as it doesn't benefit them anymore, no matter how hard it is, no matter how dirty it gets, none of that stuff, all of a sudden they'll drop them like a hot potato, right? It'll be a whole other thing. And I can't stand people like that. It just irks my nerves. That's just one of my pet peeves. And if you're going to do something, do it. And if you're not, then don't. That's just the way I look at it. And speaking of constables, whether you agree with the county commission voting to abolish them or you don't, you have to give credit where credit is due, right? These constables get out there, and they're still in office until 2026, unless this second vote fails. And if the second vote fails, then we'll have them even longer, unless county commission decides to continue to vote for them. So whatever your opinion is on keeping the constables or getting rid of the constables, that's your opinion. I have mine. Like I said, I fought for them before. I'll continue to fight for them because it's a constitutional office, and I don't believe that an elected body should be able to abolish another elected body. If the people, again, put it on a ballot. Let us, folks in Union County, decide if we want to continue to have constables or we don't. Let us decide, and whatever the vote comes down to, the vote comes down to. But instead of just taking it upon yourself to do that, as far as county commission goes, I don't think it's right. But again, no matter what your opinion is, one way or the other, you have to give credit where credit is due, right? These constables, the ones that work, and I understand they all don't do anything, and some of them just want the title. One of them I know was a plant from the government, so keep that in mind when you're trying to make your opinion out there. One of them was only ran for the office to be a government puppet and to make the constables look bad. So keep that in mind as well. And that's my opinion. You can make it yours. But so anyways, so these constables get out there and they work for free. They supply their own uniforms. They supply their own gas. They supply their own cars. They pay for their own training. They get nothing from our local government, right? Again, they used to get a little gas allowance many years ago. The county commission took that away from them, and it's $17 a month or whatever it came out to be. Now they get nothing. They can serve papers, and they get a little bit of money for that, not much. 25 cents, 50 cents, whatever it is nowadays. They don't get much money. So you got to give credit where credit's due for these constables that are out there working, and there's a few that get out there and do what they should be doing. Again, giving credit where credit is due. We as citizens of Union County owe them that. We just had a constable, if you didn't hear, because I know it's not a lot of public knowledge. I know it's not out there very freely, but just the other day on Satterfield, I believe it was Satterfield, right? Car fire? Yeah. On Satterfield, the power went out for lots of folks. Person in the vehicle that was on fire got pulled out of that vehicle by a constable. Constables, again, out there doing their jobs, doing the right thing, saving lives. And again, so again, you got to give credit where credit's due. You've got constables out there doing drug busts. You've got constables out there doing the things that maybe a deputy can't get to. All these things. So again, I just want folks to understand that just because county commission wants to say that their liability is just an excuse, right? These deputies that are out there, it's not even say deputies. The jail itself has more liability, more loss going against it. No, they didn't like that. They took me off for a second. But you get out there and a lot more to on or possible. They're not even launched yet, folks. Keep that in mind. So county commission voted to abolish the constables based on the possibility of lawsuits. They didn't abolish them because there are lawsuits. They voted to abolish them because the possibility of lawsuits. But everybody should know that there's possibilities for EMS to get sued. There's possibilities for the jail to get sued. There's possibilities for the sheriff's department to get sued. Heck, there's possibilities the mayor gets sued. There's possibilities the highway department. Anybody can get sued. Everybody has liability. And so that you argue about are they on that? If they're not on county insurance, which they should be, that is the fault of the constables. That is the fault of county commission. And I'm spinning again. I don't know why my internet keeps going out because I'm hardwired in, but I apologize, folks. But anyways, so that's the fault of a different entity that wants this other entity to disappear. And is there maybe a backhanded reason for that? Absolutely. I believe there is. The person the county commissioner that is trying to or has done the motion to abolish the constables this time is also, again, folks, if you've not been following me, you've been missing out on a lot of information. Is the same county commissioner that last time they tried to abolish the constables was the one giving false information to the other county commissioners, was basically lying, and formed a constable committee in order to look into abolishing the constables at that point in time. And until a citizen stood up and actually found out information, fought for the constables, the were going along with this commissioner at the time. But once we pointed out all the things that were being lied about, all the things that information, that's the new common word. There's no reason for me to be spinning. But anyways, so there's no reason why this county commissioner, other than having a personal agenda, is out there then, and I believe now, giving false information. And you ask me how I know there's not a lawsuit. Well, if you go back and you actually read what the attorney said in his statement, going back to this accident on the highway, we're not going, or on the bridge, and we're not going to get into that and that kind of thing. But what that attorney said was they are looking at the possibility of filing lawsuits. They didn't say they were, and they may very well. I can get out here and trip in the neighbor's yard and file a lawsuit. Anybody can file a lawsuit. That doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen, right? But anyways, so we based this vote for abolishing the constables on the fact that we might be sued. And I understand, $3 million, if all three lawsuits came and they won, which I don't think they could, is that something we can risk? Well, let me tell you, folks, if you knew what was going on in the jail, if you knew all the facts that was going on in our local government, as far as the sheriff's department and all these other departments, I mean, we can even go back to what happened with the county employee that was using county credit cards and all this other stuff and racking up all kinds of bills for their personal use. That's disappeared. Nobody's heard about that anymore. But a lot of things get swept under the rug unless it benefits somebody or it goes to further your agenda. And so, folks, you got to think about all these things out there that's going on. There's lots of things that haven't even came out yet. There's lots of things that I know that I can't speak of yet. There's lots of things going on that would make you say, why are we trying to shift the focus to this instead of looking at this? And that's what a lot of it is. A lot of it is simply trying to distract you from something else. And so keep that in mind when you're hearing these stories, and when you're reading your newspapers and you're seeing the things on whatever news station you're watching for your news. I know there was an interview or a thing done on the news I seen on the other day about the constables, and nobody from Union County government wanted to speak, and nobody from the county commission didn't want to speak on it. The mayor didn't want to speak on it, and they referred them to the county attorney, which is David Meyer. And at that point in time, I don't know if he has since, but at that point in time, he didn't respond either to this constables. And the ones that did was a constable and the attorney for these possible lawsuits. There's the only ones that actually responded and gave any information. And so why are we hiding? Why are we being so secretive about what's going on? Why are we not letting your citizens, if you're going to go out there, you're going to represent the citizens of your district, why? I know you can't talk about the lawsuit, so don't even come at me with that. But why are we being so secretive about why we're doing certain things when you're supposed to be representing us? Why not tell us what's going on? Why not tell us? Because you don't want us to know. You want us to stay in the dark. You want us to be little old sheep that continue to just go with the flow and don't show up to the meetings, and you don't just pay your taxes and shut up. That's it. That's all they want. And that's part of the reason I started doing these podcasts to begin with, and why I'm continuing to do them now is because I want folks to know what's going on. I go to these meetings, and I want to report back to you all and let you all know what's going on. And so I hope you enjoy these podcasts. Let's see. There's not. Let's see. I don't know. Do we want to talk about anything else? You want to have a little call in? Anybody want to call in? I'd be more than happy to give you the number to call in if you want. Again, I don't have anybody that's going to screen the call, so I ask that you please watch your language and all those kinds of things. But hey, it is what it is, and that kind of thing. So, does anybody want to have a call in session? Not many comments on tonight. Jeanette was the only one. Last week, y'all wore me out. We had like 120 comments. Hey, we got one. Nobody. All right. Well, I guess we're going to have a short podcast today, but we appreciate you joining us tonight for the Dirt Podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Sorry for the internet problems. That's an AT&T thing. That's my great 9 megabyte per second internet that I have that I'm paying for 17 or 19, but that's not what I get because I'm too far away from the box, they say. But anyways, I do not know. You and her seem to be best buddies last week. Anyways, so I guess with that being said, join us again next week, 8 p.m. We'll be back with who knows what. Maybe we'll have a special guest next week. Like I said, I tried to have one tonight, but they couldn't make it. So that being said, have a good night. Remember to pray for me. I'll pray for you. Thank you and good evening.
You just heard The Dirt, digging to the bottom of every situation to get the truth with your host, Jason Mills. Tune in next week at the same time for another Dirt broadcast.